Shalom to the royal family of Israel. I want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High Yahweh. In the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Ba'Shem HaMashiach Yahushua. I want to give a salutation to all the mighty men, mighty women, and mighty children of Israel. I want to give a double honors to the house of David. And today's lesson is, the draft is coming.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the draft is coming. And I know you'll hear a lot of people saying, well, there has to be an act of Congress first before the draft can come, or a law has to be established before the draft can come. Well, let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen. World War III is imminent. You can see it. You can see rumors of wars and rumors of wars. You can see strange sightings in the sky, in the heavens, if you will. Earthquakes in diverse places. And just understand that before the coming of Yahweh, Ba'Shem HaMashiach Yahushua, World War III must take place. And know this to be true. To all you heathens, your uncle, he wants you.
Pay attention because you might get drafted to fight in World War III. Take a look.
Back to draft, a divisive home front battle will loom over any major war. And this article just coming out today. Now, I've got some pretty shocking news to share with you on this, and there's been a lot coming out on this. Take a look. It has been trending. People searching, is there going to be a U.S. draft? And at first you might think no. However, wait till you see some of the more recent articles that have been coming out on this. Fact checkers saying that no, the United States is not bringing back the draft. However, what might be surprising to you is the reason why and how this still might be a possibility. Now, take a look at this. A draft can only be ordered through an act of Congress, which is not considering doing so because we are currently not in a war at this moment. So in other words, they're saying legally, President Joe Biden cannot issue an executive order to reinstate the draft. However, Congress can do so if they feel that it is needed when we are in a time of war. And take a look at this. Military recruiting woes worry voters, but most still oppose the draft. As they're saying, if we were to enter into war at this time, we do not have enough people in our U.S. military. And take a look at this. Military draft needed in the U.S. A letter just issued a couple weeks ago. I'm going to be sharing this with you as they're saying, we need it. We do not have enough armed forces. And take a look at the article that just came out today. It says the United States Army is facing a dire combination of recruiting shortfalls and shrinking individual ready reserves. The shrink they cite is alarming. The individual ready reserve, which stood with 700,000 in 1973, 450,000 in 1994, well, today it's only 76,000, 1/10 of what we had in our armed forces in 1973, which was 50 years ago. These numbers cannot fill the existing gaps in the active forces, let alone any casualty replacement or expansion during a large-scale combat operation. Large-scale combat operations troop requirements may well require a reconceptualization of the 1970s and 1980s volunteer force and a move toward partial conscription, aka reinstating the draft. Or a partial conscription would unleash powerful social, political, and cultural shockwaves throughout America, and I'm pretty sure we all would be in shock to hear that they would be sending essentially Gen Z into war if the United States were forced into World War III. After 50 years, any conscription, no matter how partial, would be off the charts contentious. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. They are saying no, there is not a draft at this time, but we are currently not officially in war, and if we were, they're saying we do not have enough people to support a war. And then let me ask you this, do you think that Congress would then issue legislation saying it's time for a draft because we do not have enough armed forces? Now, take a look. A lot of this started off because the Post-Millennial put out this video of President Joe Biden issuing the draft by executive order. I'm going to share with you the video footage so you can see.
Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up.
We decided to put the mic drop right in front, ladies and gentlemen. Here's proof that the draft is on its way. Look at what the Lord is saying here in the book of Joel. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, which means nations. So this is to all you non-Israelites, as well as you 2/3, by the way. It says, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. These are the soldiers. These are the men of fighting age, ladies and gentlemen. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. This lets you know that war is on the way. I know a lot of times you guys like to think that the Lord, whose real name is Yahweh, you guys like to think that he's this soft, effeminate Santa Claus that just grants all your wishes for you. No, ladies and gentlemen, he's a man of war. And we can get that in the book of Exodus chapter 15, verse 3. Read.
The book of Exodus, chapter 15, verse 3. The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name.
So the Lord that we're dealing with, the God of Israel, is a man of war. And he's going to send his only begotten son and his armies. And we can get that in the book of Revelations, chapter 19, verse 14. Read.
The book of Revelation, chapter 19, verse 14. And the armies which were in heaven follow him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and the wrath of Almighty God.
So when Yahweh comes down here, he's coming down here with the fierceness and wrath of the Almighty God, ladies and gentlemen. And look at what he's coming with. Out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, and with it he should smite the nations. Not hug them, not kiss them, not sing lullabies, smite them. And guess what? When he takes over, he's going to rule with a rod of iron. The Most High's only begotten son is an austere man. He's serious. He ain't for play. You abide or you're going to get that back cracked in. And as we said before, the Lord is a man of war. He's created the smith that creates all of the instruments of destruction. Why do you think Esau has knowledge of nuclear fusion and rocket propulsion and combustibles? That's because the Lord gave that to him. And we can get that in the book
of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 16. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy.
So the Lord is the one who creates destruction. He's the one who creates the smith that creates the weapons of destruction. And he also created the waster. What exactly is a waster? Let's find out.
Nicole, the most visible move in the last 24 hours is the Navy sending an Ohio-class nuclear-powered submarine to the Middle East. U.S. Central Command confirming it arrived Sunday in its area of responsibility. It is not clear exactly where the sub is, and military officials haven't revealed more details about its deployment. But we do know the U.S. fleet has 14 Ohio-class submarines that can launch ballistic missiles and 4 additional ones that carry Tomahawk cruise missiles. The arrival of the submarine and recent placement of the carrier groups Eisenhower and Ford, all very visual signals to Iran-backed groups in the region who've been retaliating against the U.S. for its support for Israel. The message that the U.S. will defend its troops, Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying as much in a surprise visit to Baghdad over the weekend, all in the face of nearly 30 attacks on U.S. and coalition bases, many in Iraq and Syria, since October 17th.
As you know, there have been a series of attacks conducted by militia directed at our personnel, both in Iraq as well as in Syria. Job number one for me is to ensure the security of our people, and so I got an update on everything we're doing to make sure that our personnel are safe and secure. To anyone who might seek to take advantage of the conflict in Gaza to threaten our personnel here or anywhere else in the region, don't do it.
And the other muscle backing up that directive from Blinken are 2 aircraft carriers in the region, the USS Eisenhower and Ford, last week completing a 3-day set of exercises aimed at deterring aggression.
All right, Evan Lambert in Washington, thank you.
So here's one of the wasters that the Lord has created. And these instruments of war can actually level an entire country.
Nuclear bomb, 24 times more powerful than those dropped on Japan to end World War II. This would be major to have in our arsenal. This is the Senate Armed Services Committee raises concerns about growing nuclear threats from Russia, North Korea.
The U.S. Air Force and Space Force tested an unarmed nuclear-capable long-range missile today. Traveled 4,200 miles to the Marshall Islands. The U.S. regularly tests its weapons for accuracy and reliability. The Pentagon says Russia was notified.
Congress approved the production of a brand new nuclear weapon far more powerful than the atom bombs used in World War II. The military leaders saying they want to keep Americans protected from rising threats around the world.
A new push by the Department of Defense to upgrade its nuclear weapons.
Military leaders recently announcing they will pursue production of the B-6113 nuclear gravity bomb, a weapon 24 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, Japan during World War II.
More evidence. This nuclear missile is, what did they say, 24 times more powerful than the atomic bombs that were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. These are wasters that the Lord has created.
If the United States and Russia were to have a nuclear war, how would the power of their nuclear bombs compare? Let's demonstrate with a 3D animation. Suppose the target city is a typical city with a population of 10 million. 8th place, the Little Boy atomic bomb used by the US in WWI. Estimated death toll, 90,000. 7th place, Russia's RDS-6 hydrogen bomb. Estimated death toll, 500,000. 6th place, the US B-61 nuclear bomb. Estimated death toll, 650,000. 5th place, the US Castle Bravo nuclear bomb. Estimated death toll, 3.45 million. 4th place, Russia's Tsar Bomba hydrogen bomb. Estimated death toll, 7.5 million. 3rd place, the US MK-28 nuclear bomb. Estimated death toll, 10 million. 2nd place, the US Operation Ivy, Mike, the world's first fully developed hydrogen bomb. Estimated death toll, incalculable. 1st place, the US MK-36 nuclear bomb. Estimated death toll, incalculable. The mushroom cloud heights of these nuclear explosions compared to the tallest reached up to 42,000 kilometers in the sky, already reaching the height of communication satellite.
So you had an opportunity to see some wasters. And if you notice, the first two places, place number 1 and place number 2, were America. And the destructive nature of those nuclear bombs were incalculable, meaning that they'll destroy entire countries. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, when World War III kicks in, billions of people are going to die. So we saw some examples of the wasters that the Lord created. Folks, it's going to get real out here. And when Yahushua comes back, I need you to understand, he's bringing his own destruction. And we can get that in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 4. Read.
Book of Habakkuk, chapter 3, verse 4. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power.
This is proof that lasers are in the Bible, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the footnote for horns. Rays flashing from his hands. Those are lasers, ladies and gentlemen. Lasers. The man that you guys call Jesus, whose real name is Yahushua, is coming down here, and out of his hands are gonna be lasers. And for some of you, especially you Generation Z, you guys are very, very arrogant, very raggedy. A lot of you, that's how a lot of you guys are. And you think because you got soft butts that you're not gonna go out there and fight in World War III. The Lord's gonna drag you there. And we can get that in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 3, read.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, verse 3. And say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal.
This is talking about Russia, ladies and gentlemen. This is not talking about the elder Japheth and his descendants. They, the Pacific Islanders, were pushed out of their land, and the Edomites took over those lands. And so since they took over those lands, they basically took over the names of these people. So this is talking about Russia. Read.
And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws.
Look at what the Lord said. This is talking about World War III. The Lord is going to put hooks in your jaws. Let's find out what's going to happen. Go.
And I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmets.
The Lord is going to force these nations to go to war, whether you like it or not. So let's find out. The Lord is going to command for you to get your weapons ready. The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 10, read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
So the Lord says, beat your plowshares into swords. What exactly is a plowshare? Plowshare, the main cutting blade of a plow that's behind the coulter. So what we're talking about agriculture. And how do you equate agriculture? The business of a country. What makes things move? What goes from the field? A lot of it goes into the grinding meal. A lot of it goes from the field to the storehouses, from the storehouses onto the shelves. This is talking about the running of a country. So it's not just agriculture. This can also be your telecommunications. This can also be your trucking industry. Whatever makes a country flow, whatever makes it move, the Lord is telling you, you're going to stop doing that, and you're going to turn those plowshares into swords. And here's the modern day swords, ladies and gentlemen. Those are weapons. That's your modern day swords. Guns, rifles, weapons. Then the Lord says, turn your pruning hooks. What's a pruning hook? A cutting tool used for pruning, consisting of a hooked blade on a long handle. And he's telling you to turn those into spears. Here's your modern day spears, ladies and gentlemen. Rocket launchers that can do massive amounts of destruction. So the Lord is telling you, prepare for war. Turn all of your tools for agriculture, your tools for making your country move, which includes sitting at a computer. You won't be sitting in no cubicles anymore. Nah, fam, you're going to be in your uniform, and the Lord is telling you, get your weapons ready because death is coming your way. So we're here to tell you, folks, the draft is coming soon. And your uncle wants you.
Understands why people are so concerned about a possible draft. I think most Americans that do remember the draft in the 70s and with all the connotations that come with it. During the Vietnam era, the military draft was a fraught, highly contentious one. Here's how it worked. December 6th. They had a lottery system based on year of birth and get a number assigned. December 6th is 010. And if your birth date was that number that was called up in a lottery, you would then be called to a draft and you'd be sent to a local draft board. And they would then have the decision of whether you were physically and mentally fit and also morally fit to serve. It wouldn't quite work the same way today. The requirements actually to be in the military is significantly higher today than it was, I think, during the Vietnam War. The process by which I think it would also depend on sort of what skill set they need, sort of what kind of individual that they are looking for that would be able to serve in the military, because obviously our weapon systems are much more complex.
In the military selective service, Americans from all walks of life will learn to live side by side.
Juana says many people confuse the draft with registering for the selective service. A lot of people have misinformation, or we conflate both registration and the draft as one. And they are sort of two distinct processes. One is that you are required as an 18 to 25-year-old male to register for a potential draft. That's selective service. And the second is more of a sort of, once the legislation and law is passed, then the draft process begins. If you're worried about the draft being reinstated in the U.S., here's what to look for. First thing that you would see, and that should make people be concerned if there would be a draft, is if Congress actually passed legislation to enable a draft. Pay attention to what's going on, right? If you see dialogue happening about whether there are enough troops that are being sent, right? Because we have a volunteer force. We will see the activation of the services, in particularly the Army, maybe the Marine Corps. You'll see the activation of the reserve components and the National Guard, as we did after 9/11. As some were asking serious questions like, will there be a draft?
For many of the thousands who watched the drawing with bated breath,
The Selective Service is clear about this, saying Congress and the President would need to pass official legislation to authorize a draft. The draft was first used in the U.S. during the Civil War, and then through almost every war through Vietnam.
September 14th.
It ended in 1973. Today's 1.2 active duty military members are all volunteers. That's about 1/2 of 1% of the U.S. adult population under 65. That said, men 18 to 25 are still required to register with the Selective Service system. That's been the law since the Carter administration. It's supposed to be done within 30 days of their 18th birthday. Most do it when they get their driver's license or apply for federal college aid. Right now, more than 90% of eligible young men in the U.S. are registered. It's against the law not to register. It's not commonly prosecuted, but you can't work for the government or get federal financial aid without it. Now, if you register, that does not mean you would be drafted. Again, Congress would have to pass legislation, and the president would have to sign it. And if that happened, the men would be chosen by random lottery and the year they were born.
So we just saw some videos pertaining to the draft and what the draft is, the inception of the draft, what the draft looks like. Make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, they will run out of bodies. They'll be going into the prison houses and getting them niggas out of prison. Everyone is going to come to the valley of decision, unless you're an Israelite. But we'll get to that. Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 11. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord.
So the Lord is saying, assemble yourselves. And who's he talking to? The heathen. And he's telling you to gather yourself. Why? Because the day of destruction is at hand. But let's find out where that day of destruction is going to be. Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 12. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 12. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
So the valley of Jehoshaphat, also known as the valley of decision, is where the final battle is going to be. But it's not really this particular valley. It's more of the entire region, ladies and gentlemen. And this is where it's going to happen. Armageddon, also known as Megiddo, is a landmass. And that's where the final battle is going to take place between good and evil. Just understand, the draft is coming, folks, and your uncle wants you.
It's mandatory for males who are U.S. citizens age 18 to 25 to register with the Selective Service. The draft is actually a mandatory enrollment from Selective Service to the armed forces. It's also false that everybody who is drafted will be eligible for service. Draftees still go through a selection process to measure their mental, physical, and moral fitness. So with that being said, you can be selected and not be eligible for the draft.
So Republicans are now advocating to raise the voting age to 21 to bring back the draft.
Even saying, hey, we'd rather go to prison for 5 years, get free food, have our clothing taken care of, rather than being shot at in a war zone. Watch this, Gen Zer.
So 5 years of rent-free living, free food, and no responsibilities versus being immediately obliterated by an AK-47 the moment I set foot on that battlefield. Do I look like somebody who the authorities are going to be chasing after, hunting down because they need me? They need me to grab an assault weapon and go try to save people's lives? Are you kidding me? Talk about a liability. Go find those people who are so pro Second Amendment and wear freaking American flag thongs and all that. Go find them. They have a concealed carry anyway. They know what they're doing. They've done the classes. You don't want me fighting for this country. I promise you that. And you know it's true.
As a matter of fact, let's get Armageddon. Let me get the book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 16. Read.
The book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
This means mountain of troops or mountain of soldiers. The city or hill of Megiddo, Armageddon. Megiddo is an actual place, the scene of the struggle of good versus evil. This will be the climax of World War III. All praises to the Most High God. Let me get the book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5. Read.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 9, verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire.
Ancient battles were about warriors rolled in blood. You cut somebody's head off, their blood is going to be all over your garment. People fought with battle axes, knives, and swords. Battles were very close. Today, you can just hit a button from a command center 10,000 miles away and blow up a whole city. You couldn't just send a bunch of drones to bomb hospitals and elementary schools the way that the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians. Back then, you actually had to know how to fight and use the sword. You have garments that are rolled in blood. You're chopping off limbs and chopping off heads and legs. You're getting that person's blood all over your clothes.
If it turns into a mandatory drafting, it's going to be 18 to 35. That's going to be
That's not good.
That's the age gap.
You going to jail? You in 5 years?
Yeah, it looks like it. And then, like you said, it goes in segments, so it'll be the youngest first. Potentially, a lot of like people in the medical field would also be drafted first.
Yeah, they're gonna need medical.
Yeah, so there's that. Women,
Ladies.
trans,
Ladies.
non-binaries,
They thems.
y'all are not safe, and it's fair game now. So
It's equality. It kind of sucks to be even, doesn't it?
this guy, you had to go there. I wasn't.
It was a joke. It was a joke. Okay?
I wasn't even trying to go
It was
there,
a joke,
but
it does, right?
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. But pretty much, yeah, it's a fair
sucks.
game now. Everybody and anybody.
Yep.
Whatever you identify as, it doesn't matter because you're getting drafted, possibly.
Yep. If you are a human being and you are qualified to fight, it does
Within
not
that age
matter.
group. Yep. So
Both the Army and the Air Force have said they will not meet their recruiting goals this year. So they're not meeting their recruiting goals, and they are now allowing legal immigrants to have the fast track to get citizenship when they join the military. What that means is good. That's going to help postpone a potential draft. And if we do go into some sort of state of crisis, then what could cause another draft? A national emergency exceeding the Department of Defense's capability to recruit and retain its total force strength. So the Congress could say, hey, we need more people. Who gets drafted? Men from 18 to 64 years. What happens if you don't? You get a fine of $250K and or 5 years of imprisonment. Who gets drafted first? Those turning 20 during the calendar year of the lottery. How can I avoid this? Have a medical condition or ADHD and take medication, which is, I don't recommend that. Was it good or bad we have these men helping us?
Let me get the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 15. Read.
The book of Isaiah chapter 66 verse 15, for behold, the Lord will come with fire, and his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many.
So the scripture right here is telling you how the Lord is going to be coming. He's coming with fire. And I know some churches might talk about this, but you have no idea what this really means. This is destruction to you heathens, to you Gentiles. It says, like a whirlwind. This is chiefly talking about the chariots, what you people call flying saucers or UFOs. And right here where it says, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh. That means judge all flesh. Let me get the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 17. Read.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 17. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the gardens behind one tree in the midst, eating swine's flesh, and the abomination and the mouse shall be consumed together, saith the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory.
So for all you people who think that the Lord cleaned the pig and that you can eat it now, pigs, swine are a defiled food that was sacrificed onto idols, ladies and gentlemen. So not only is it bad for your health, but we're not supposed to eat foods that are sacrificed onto idols. But yet you people say you can still eat pork. Well, the Lord is saying that if that's you, you will be destroyed.
Both the Army and the Air Force have said they will not meet their recruiting goals this year.
there are a lot of rumors, in fact, that President Biden is about to bring back a military draft. You've been hearing this floating around. If you go to the Selective Service website right now, you can read there is no draft at present, according to the Selective Service in the United States. But read this, right? These are the special sequence of events that would need to happen in order to classify a draft. And it's really interesting because it would a national emergency exceeding the Department of Defense's capability to recruit and retain its total force strength. It requires Congress to amend the Military Selective Service to authorize President Biden, the president, to induct personnel into the armed forces. So you'd say, okay, their ability to recruit and retain. That's
happening.
If the U.S. starts another draft, it will be ages 18 to 26 first. However, if you are drafted, say under 26, and a war or something is still going on, you could be required to serve until you're 35 years old.
They're drafting women now for war. Okay, let it be known when the feminist movement was happening, I didn't support it. Because not a day, and you can screenshot this, send it to the Times, baby, not a day did I support and want equal rights with men. No, I have always wanted more rights.
Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 13. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 13. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get ye down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
So this is talking about the ripeness of the Gentiles. And what is a sickle for? Hewing down vegetation so that it can be gathered.
New bill before Congress would require young women for the first time to register for the draft, just like young men. ABC's Mary Alice Parks is on Capitol Hill this morning with the latest on this legislation. Good morning, Mary Alice. Good morning, Eva. Yeah, this is interesting and would be a first. Now, it's been nearly 50 years since the government has actually inducted someone into the military through the draft, but still, young men have to register after they turn 18, and now Congress is again talking about whether women should have to too. Capitol Hill poised to make history. The Senate Armed Services Committee advancing a bill that, if signed into law, would require young women for the first time to register for the draft at 18, just like their dads and brothers. Ashlyn Carroll, an ROTC student from Tulane, telling us she welcomes the news. It caught me off guard. I think that it definitely levels the playing field, and it sets a precedent that shows that women are equal in the armed forces.
The bill, as written, would increase parental leave for servicemen and women and establish a basic needs allowance, which advocates say could help fight hunger and food insecurity among members of the military. Today, women serve at nearly every level of the military. The last time the government actually drafted a non-voluntary civilian into the armed services was back in 1973 during the Vietnam War. Last year, then candidate Joe Biden saying a draft is not needed now, but that he would, quote, ensure that women are also eligible to register for the selective service system so that men and women are treated equally in the event of future conflicts. On the National Mall, some worried faces, but many women and men conceding the idea felt fair.
We are living in the 21st century where men and women are to be considered equal, then we have to be considered equal on all fronts. If it was a draft that included young men and young women, that seems appropriate and fair. I think that's fair. I do. I think women are being included in everything, and hopefully we don't end up in a situation where we ever need the draft again.
But not everyone is on board with the idea of adding women to the draft. Republican Senator Josh Hawley writing, compelling women to fight our wars is wrong.
Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 14. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 14. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
So the valley of Jehoshaphat is also known as the valley of decision. And there are going to be millions upon millions of people in the great battle. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision.
Ladies 18 to 26, hope you're ready to get drafted.
Don't worry, ladies 18 to 26. I am here with some tips and tricks on how to deal with the military. My credentials are that I was in the Army and the Army's reserves from 2011 to 2018, and my back hurts. So how are we getting out of this, girly pops? Okay, well, it's not going to be as easy as you guys are making it sound, because they will write a waiver for anything.
Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 15. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 15. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining.
So you're literally getting signs on the coming of the Most High God's only begotten Son. Here is saying the sun and the moon shall be darkened. Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 16. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 16. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. But the Lord will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Israel.
I don't know how many times we have to keep reminding you heathens, Yahawashah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, only came here for the lost sheep of the house of Israel and nobody else. Right here is telling you that Yahawashah is going to be the hope of his people and the strength of the Israelites. And there is no such thing as spiritual Israel. You literally got to come out of the ball sacks, Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Let me get the book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 17. Read.
The book of Joel, chapter 3, verse 17. So shall ye know that I am the Lord your God, dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore.
So right now you have the Gentiles in the land of Israel, and they're going to be there until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And it's not fulfilled as of yet, but it will be. And they'll be trodden down. All praises to the Most High. That's a promise. But notice right here where it says, so shall ye know that I am the Lord your God dwelling in Zion. Yahweh. You guys call him God, but his name is Yahweh. He is the God of Israel and nobody else. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 3. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 3, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him.
Everybody's going to see Yahweh. Everybody's going to see him. And right here, Esdras, who's having a vision, by the way, says that, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong. So he's talking about Yahweh. Look at what he says. With the thousands of heaven, that is his armada of angels, in what you dummies call a flying saucers or UFOs. Those are the chariots of Israel. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 4. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 and verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire.
Destruction is going to come by way of fire, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how many times you got to read that in the Bible to get to know it. And I know some of you people think that the Bible is an imaginary book, even though you go to church on Sundays. Why do you even go to church? It certainly isn't to read the Bible. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 5. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
So for World War III, you're going to have multiple armies fighting against each other, nations fighting against nations. And when everyone sees Yahweh, and everyone's going to see Yahweh, they're going to stop fighting. And they're going to turn all their attention to Yahweh because they're going to think that it's an alien invasion. Why? Because of all of the stupid movies we've been watching over the last century. Stupid movies like Independence Day, where somehow you hacked into the aliens' computer system, but it was Jeff Goldblum, the damn Amalek, and then Will Smith, the homosexual, punches the alien and just knocks him out with one punch. Nah, nigga, it ain't gonna be nothing like that, fam. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 6. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 6, and I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it.
So Yahweh is going to be in the fathership, not the mothership, the fathership. He's going to be in what is probably like command central, and he's going to be calling out orders. The general of the army is Michael, the archangel Michael, and he's going to be knee deep involved in battle, destroying mankind, the heathen. This is specifically talking about Mount Olive. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 7. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 7. But I would have seen the region or place wherewith the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight.
So you'll see here, as soon as they see Yahweh, they're going to be afraid. But the Lord is going to put the spirit in them to do what? Fight. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 9. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 9, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand nor held sword, nor any instrument of war.
Yahweh is not going to have to use any instruments of war. He's not even going to move his hands. That's cold. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 10. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 10. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, and it has been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests.
So destruction is going to be coming from the Most High's only begotten Son, from the chariots, from Yahushua himself. Verse 11, read.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, verse 11. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke, which I saw. When I saw this, I was afraid.
So Esdras is seeing calamity. Like, this is terrifying to him. Why? Because his Lord, Yahushua, is setting everybody on fire. If you're keeping the truth and obeying Yahweh's laws, statutes, and commandments, you don't have to worry about the draft. You will not be drafted. You will not go to war. You will be safe. You're under the protection of Yahushua. And we can get that in the book of Job, chapter 5, verse 19. Read.
The book of Job, chapter 5, verse 19. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword.
That is a mic drop, ladies and gentlemen. If you're keeping the law, statutes, commandments, the Lord says he's going to deliver you in 6 troubles, yea, in 7, because 7 is a number of completion. There no evil shall touch thee. So when the famine happens, guess what? The Lord is going to bring you food. The Lord is going to redeem you from death. When they start coming around talking about the draft, the power of the sword is going to be away from you. 21, read.
Verse 21, thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh. Neither shalt thou be afraid of the beasts of the earth.
What are the 4 sword judgments? The sword, the pestilence, the noisome beast, and the famine. And what did the Lord say right here? We're going to be hid from the scourge of the tongue. Neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. But look at this. We're going to laugh at the famine. And we're not going to be afraid of the noisome beast. 23, read.
Verse 23. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with thee. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin.
So understand this thing, folks. The elect are going to miss the destruction. Jacob's trouble is going to be short for the elect. We will be hidden, we will be fed, we'll be protected. When all hell breaks loose, you're going to have angels fighting against the heathens. But you're also going to have a rescue team that's going to come. The Lord will send a rescue team of chariots to retrieve the children of Israel. And we can get that in the book of Psalm chapter 50, verse 1. Read.
The book of Psalm chapter 50, verse 1. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, God hath shined.
So right here, the Most High God called the children of Israel the perfection of beauty.
Verse 3, our God shall come and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice.
So if you're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and you're in the truth, look at what the Lord said. Gather my saints. Pursuant to the book of Psalms, the saints are the Israelites. Those that have made a covenant with the Lord by sacrifice are the saints. And he said to gather his saints.
Verse 25, thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thine offspring as the grass of the earth. Thou shalt come to thy grave in a full age, like as a shock of corn cometh in his season. Lo, this, we have searched it, so it is, hear it, and know thou it for thy good.
No one who is an Israelite who has made a covenant with the Lord by sacrifice will be seeing death on the battlefield in Armageddon. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 12. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 12. Afterwards saw I the same man come down from the mountain and call unto him another peaceable multitude.
So we're talking about the children of Israel.
And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, and some of them were bound, and other some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I awaked and said, Thou hast shewed thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and thou hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer.
So Esdras is seeing the Israelites, the 1/3, the elect. He's seeing us, and some were sorry, some were glad, some were bound, others some brought of them that were offered. And they all came before the Lord. Now Esdras wants to know what the interpretation of this dream is. So this is what he's asking the angel. The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 15. Show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. 16, read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 16. For as I conceive in mine understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, and much more woe unto them that are not left behind.
All right, so we're going to get into the explanation as to what this exactly means.
Verse 17, for they that were not left were in heaviness.
So they that were not left in heaviness, read.
Now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them, and to those that are left behind.
So this is not talking about something that came to fruition already. This is talking about the latter days, which are these days. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 19, read.
Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare.
So like as the dreams declared, read.
Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, and not to see the things that happen in the last days. And he answered unto me and said,
It is better, ladies and gentlemen, that you're alive to see everything happen with your own eyes.
The interpretation of the vision shall I shew thee, and I will open unto thee the thing that thou hast required, whereas thou hast spoken of them that thou art left behind. This is the interpretation.
Let's get into the interpretation. Read.
He that shall endure the peril in that time hath kept himself. They that be fallen into danger are such as have works and faith toward the Almighty.
So if you're alive, you're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, it is better for you. Verse 24, read.
Know this therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead.
So you don't want to be getting killed in the latter days. The angel is saying those that are left behind are more blessed than those that be dead. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 25. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 25. This is the meaning of the vision, whereas thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea.
So we're talking about Yahawashah.
Verse 26. The same is he whom God the highest hath kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind.
So you remember when the Lord was sacrificed, the chariot came down, picked him up, and he's been up there ever since.
Verse 27, and whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came as a blast of wind and fire and storm.
So the Most High's only begotten Son, Yahawashah, is bringing death and destruction. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 28. Read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13 verse 28. And that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation.
So you're going to have all the armies of the earth coming up against Yahweh Bahashem Hamashiach Yahawashah. And they're going to attempt to try and subdue him because they're going to think it's an alien invasion. 29, read.
Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth.
Now, the them are the children of Israel.
And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth.
Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 31, read.
And one shall undertake to fight against another, and one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another.
So prior to them turning towards the Yahawashah, they'll be fighting each other.
And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I shewed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending.
Yahawashah will be ascending. Now you have to focus and pay attention, ladies and gentlemen, that these are the signs. This is the final confrontation that's going to be happening. You're going to have the armies of the earth turning all of their attention to Yahawashah. If you go back into Isaiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, all of these were spoken before in the days of old, declaring that Yahawashah is going to come. He's going to defeat the heathens. He's going to deliver the children of Israel. Let me get the book, 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 33, read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 33, and when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another.
So they're going to stop fighting each other. They're going to turn all their attention towards Yahawashah. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 34, read.
The book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 34. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou shawest them willing to come, and to overcome him by fighting.
So everyone's going to see Yahawashah on that fathership, and they're all going to turn all their attention to him to try and take him down. 35, read.
But he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Sion, and Sion shall come, and shall be shewed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands.
We're talking about moments before the destruction of the heathens. 37, read.
Verse 37, and this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest.
Because of your wickedness, because of your evil nature, because of the fact that you have put your hands on the children of Israel, Yahawashah is going to rebuke you to your destruction. Let me get the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 13, verse 38 to find out how Yahawashah is going to take them out.
And shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law which is like unto me.
So he's not going to be doing any stabbing and slashing. You know what he's going to do? Right here it says, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, so all their sins, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame. And watch this, and he shall destroy them without labor. He's not going to do any work by the law, which is like unto me. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. If you had any other gods before the Lord, like yourself, your kids, your job, your car, boom, gone. Thou shalt have no idols. If you're an idol worshiper, which is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil, boom, you're done, gone, you're on fire. Do not use the Lord's name in vain. You ever use the Lord's name in vain? You swore. I put that on. You always want to put that on God, knowing that you're a damn liar. Or you'll say Christmas is on December the 25th. Jesus was born on Christmas. Jesus is white. God is white. Using the Lord's name in vain. Boom! Keep the Sabbath holy. Well, we don't have to keep the Sabbath. Jesus is the Sabbath. I'm going to church on Sunday. Boom! You're done. Obey. Honor your father and your mother. I hate my dad. Boom! You're gone. Do not kill. Yeah, but you can kill with your words. And if you hate your brother in your heart, or you call him rocky, boom, you're done. Thou shalt not steal. And you know you a thief. Most of you are. Boom, you're done. Thou shalt not bear false witness. You know you done accuse somebody of something and they suffer for it. Boom! Done. Thou shalt not covet. And you guys know that you live in covetousness. That's why a lot of you guys, especially you poor people, seem to walk around with name brand designer items because you envy your oppressor and you're choosing his ways. Boom! You're done. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Almost the whole military is going to be gone on that one because y'all don't realize sex is marriage, ladies and gentlemen. And anything else after that is adultery. Boom! Let's find out how you Israelites can save yourself out of it because everybody ain't going to be saved. Let me get the book of Revelation chapter 13 verse 10. Read.
The book of Revelation chapter 13 verse 10. He that leadeth in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
So understand this, your friendly neighborhood white man, he ain't going to be saved. Your Arabs, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, African Hamites, you guys ain't going to be saved. You guys are done. The Arabs, you're finished. Because every nation on the earth has taken including you Japhites. That's why all of y'all are going into slavery. All of you have taken us and put us into slavery. But this is specifically for the children of Israel. Let me get the book of Revelation chapter 14 verse 12. Read.
The book of Revelation chapter 14 verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Hamashiach.
So if you want to get into the kingdom of heaven, if you want to get rescued and not left to destruction, here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God. Don't listen to nobody that tell you not to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahweh. Bahashem Hamashiach Yahweh. So today, we just discussed the fact that the draft is coming. Oh, the draft is coming, ladies and gentlemen. The day of reckoning, the day of decision is coming. The Lord and his entire armada, millions upon millions upon millions of chariots are coming to destroy this earth, to scorch it. And they will be saving the children of Israel. And there's nothing that you heathens can do about it. For you Israelites, you better repent and keep the laws, statutes, and commandments and the faith of Yahweh Bahashem Hamashiach Yahweh. Because if you don't, pay attention. Your uncle wants you. And with that, shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.